All right, episode 20, Home Invasion. We have made it back to a better episode. So, in this episode, Deadshot is returning to Starling City. Diggle obviously wants to kill Deadshot. He's not happy with Argus taking him and arresting him and sending him to jail. But Diggle's going to have to do that with or without Oliver's help, because Oliver is focusing on Laurel and how she is attempting to help her clients out, go after this one man who hires a hitman who takes out this little boy's family, his mom and his dad, and Laurel's now protecting the kid from this hitman, and Oliver's got to choose between helping Diggle out in his situation or helping out Laurel in her situation. And then obviously Oliver and Tommy are going through friction between basically Laurel, really. That's what their friction is, and then the secret that he's been holding. So there's a lot going on in this episode. This episode ended up getting 100% rating on Rotten Tomatoes, and I'm not gonna lie, it's hard to find really anything bad in this episode. I was enjoying it from start to finish. I mean, some of the cons isn't even really that much of cons. Like, I don't want to put this down as one, so I don't know if I will, but how the hitman was just able to get everywhere. He knew where everybody was. He knew how to get to every situation. He knew what to do. Like, it was almost like he was exactly just like Oliver and was able to plan out everything. So I'm not saying that it's not impossible for another guy to be that good, but we have not seen really anyone at that level. That's just a random hitman. Like, he is just a random guy, you know? He's not, you know, this superpowered villain or a main villain or anything like that. He's just a hitman that was hired by this guy. So it was very interesting to see, you know, that going on. Like, it was just very interesting how he was able to pop up everywhere he needed to be, and nobody, you know, knew how to stop him, basically, you know? But it's not a huge con. It's a very small con. The one main con I had in this episode was the Laurel and Oliver situation. Like, Laurel has been lying to Tommy, not telling him that, you know, Oliver and her were going to be going on to lunch, you know, not filling in Tommy on this stuff. And Tommy even says later on in the episode that if she found out who you were under the hood, like if she found out that's what you were doing, he was scared that she would choose him over her. You know, choose him over him. You know, choose Oliver over Tommy. Well, I could not get those words out. So he ends up breaking up with her, and I think it's just because Oliver obviously still loves her. That's what the flashbacks are basically pointing out to, that, you know, he might be in love with someone else, but he might like someone else, but really he's always going to love Laurel. And I do not want to have a will they, won't they situation going on the next 3 episodes that we have left. I do not want to see that, so nip this in the butt. But I did not like that in this episode. So that's what brings it down to, I know I didn't give my grade, and I'm going to give it an A. It's not an A-, because that one con doesn't ruin it too much, but I'm not going to give it a full A+, only because I do not enjoy the Laurel-Oliver thing. Obviously, Oliver's always going to choose Laurel all the time, which he doesn't need to do that. Yes, it has benefited them in their situation, but at the same time, you're letting those down who have been helping you non-stop, and you keep stepping on their feet, like Diggle, Tommy, and then having to deal with Laurel always gonna love Oliver because, you know, that's her first love, and it seems like he's always been there. Like, it's almost like she knows that he is the Arrow, and like that's why she loves him so much more. So I'm just kind of, I'm not a fan of that. I do not like the will they, won't they scenario, which in further seasons, which we are not going to get into right now, I have issues with. So that was my biggest con, you know, but there are so many pros. Like the intro into this episode, you know, meeting this family, and then this hitman basically just taking him out. Like, I am already invested. I want to know more of what's going on, which we don't really get more of what's going on, like why, you know, They obviously explain why they're suing this dude Rasmus, and why obviously he sent a hitman towards them. But that's about it. It kind of just ends there, and it's mainly just the hitman going after this kid and putting him down because he saw his face, and then obviously having to take out Laurel and Tommy because they saw his face. So, but the intro of it really got me hooked. I was already, like, just right away, I was into this episode and invested, and I wanted more, you know? I wanted to see where this was going to go. Diggle vs. Deadshot. Like I said in the Deadshot episode when we were introduced to him, I like Deadshot as a character in this show. I like how he's almost unstoppable, but yet if you get him on a one-on-one, there's a chance you have of winning. Like, Diggle almost beat him right there by himself. You know, Diggle almost had the upper hand. Obviously, Deadshot knew that this was all planned. He's not stupid. He's a smart villain, so he knows what was going on. Took out almost all those agents. And then Diggle gets a chance to take him on, and then Diggle almost gets the upper hand, but then Deadshot, like a heel in wrestling, basically gets the better of him and then lets him fight for another day because he wants to beat him, and even tells him he has a spot right next to his brother on his chest that he plans on marking for him. But, like, you know, he's not doing this right now. He's not getting paid to do this. So it's basically, that may be the only reason why Diggle's still alive. So I like the butting heads that they're doing. I love the Diggle versus Deadshot. I just obviously like Deadshot as a character, so I like seeing him in any episode, and then how much Diggle is just so focused on him, and how it's obviously causing problems with Oliver and Diggle. So, you know, I enjoy that. I want to see more. But yeah, I enjoyed that. The Hitman. The Hitman in this episode is probably the best villain for a one-off episode that we have gotten in a long time. Because we've had the Count, we had that whole gang of Diggle's friends. Like, we were getting a couple of bad villains there. And I was really worried because these one-off villains were just terrible. This guy was so, well, like, he was basically the opposite of Oliver. He knew where to go, where everybody was, which obviously is a kind of a con because it's ridiculous how he knew where everybody was. Like, him being a one-man army, it's like he just knew everything. So, but I liked how he took out his enemies, like his actual client who hired him. I like how he took him out without even hurting him, basically. Just put a pressure point and then boom, he's dead. You know, it gave Oliver an actual real challenge. It wasn't like Oliver was able to put him down, boom, 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 done. No, he actually had to fight and scrap to beat this dude and barely got, you know, one over on him. So, I liked this Hitman. Kind of wish he didn't die so we could have gotten more of him, but I did enjoy what we got from him in this episode. Also, Tommy. MVP of this episode. Like, everything Tommy had in this episode that he was doing, it was great, you know, comforting the kid, you know, telling him the story about how he sees his mom trying to make this kid feel better after he just lost his parents. You know, Tommy sucking in his, you know, swallowing his pride just to have Laurel and this kid even more safe at Oliver's house because he knows Oliver will protect them with his life, and the arrow being closer is better than the arrow being further away. So, the fact that Tommy swallowed his pride and was like, look, this wasn't easy to do this. Just know that, and you need to protect us and keep these two safe. Tommy just flat out was probably the best part of this episode almost. And if you watched the earlier episodes that I recorded, I did not like Tommy. I absolutely hated Tommy, and I will be honest, I do not remember enjoying Tommy this much at all. I don't know what the heck. I don't even remember Tommy being this good, and maybe it's just because, spoilers, he's not in further seasons, so maybe that's why I don't remember him. But Tommy has literally been my favorite character in this season. Minus Diggle, Tommy's probably my favorite character this season, by far. He has grown so much, and he even breaks it off with Laurel because he doesn't want to be hurt by her, and he knows he doesn't want to be a backup, you know? He doesn't want to be a plan B for her when her and Oliver don't work, or when they can't get together, or when she hates Oliver because he's been lying to her this whole time. So he doesn't want to go through that process, but he has been the MVP in this episode, and just everything that every scene almost that he was in, I was invested and wondering, you know, where he was going to take it, how he was going to help. Like, I just enjoy Tommy right now. And that's not something I thought I would have said in the beginning of the season. I really thought Tommy was going to be my least favorite character. And I have to say, he's probably by far my favorite now. Diggle's the MVP of the season. But Tommy's a close second. So, obviously not much was built on this, on what's going on with the undertaking and everything like that. We haven't really seen much of that. I mean, we saw Malcolm Merlyn in the last episode as Tommy went back to go work with him. I don't know if I mentioned that. But yeah, so as great as this episode was, I didn't feel like much got built on other than relationships like Tommy and Oliver and Laurel. Just that dynamic was building more, but we didn't get much of the story much. So I'm hoping the next 3 episodes build on to the finale, and we get what's going on with the undertaking, what they're doing, what's the plan, who's all behind it, how is Oliver going to stop it, how is he going to figure it out. You know, Diggle just left Oliver now, so how is he going to get Diggle back? How is he going to almost basically repay him to basically help, you know, bring him back to the group Team Arrow? So it's going to be very interesting to see. I'm very interested to see what episode 21 is going to bring us. And how, you know, is Diggle going to be gone again like he was earlier? Is he going to come back? Is he going to work with Oliver just for the benefit of, you know, the city? Or is it just going to be a partnership that's just going to be crumbled like Tommy and Oliver's right now? So I'm very interested to see. Can't wait to see it. Praying for another good episode, because we got ourselves a great one in this one. I don't want to lose our footing heading into the finale. So, I will see you in the next episode. And don't forget to like and subscribe and comment down below.